So welcome to the session, guys. In this session, we are going to see it grid installation. Almost the part 3. I'm going to divide it this one. Till now, we did in 2 parts. One is like virtual machines installations, and then VM config and creating machine. This one is done. After we created the machine, we have installed OS. That is also done. After we install the OS, required packages we have installed. Then we unzipped the software, required packages installed, created users and groups, right? That is also done. This part also completed. Then we unzip the software, both the softwares, grid and DB software. It is done. After that, we did the passwordless connectivity enabled. Connection enabled. After that, ASM disks, ASM libraries and disks created. Now we are good to proceed with grid installation. These are all the things which we high level, which we done in 2 parts. This is the third part where we are going to install our grid. If you want to install your grid, we need to check run cluster verify tool. What it does is it is going to check the pre-checks. Okay, pre-checks on this machine and this machine. If you are having 3 node or 4 node, you can add it here separated with the comma. Verbose means in detailed, show me the report. Okay, it will show you the pre-report, all the prerequisites, whether our instance is met or not. So connected to grid user, or you can run it from the root user. That is fine. Run cloud file. Okay, let me connect with our node 1. Set the grid home path, or else you can directly go ahead and do this. CD. Let me go to home. Okay, why? Because our grid home path is, we are not using 19C, right? We need to change this, right? Let me take this. And here you want to see, we will discuss these things later, right? Without display, we will not get the, what I can say, GUI prompt. That's where I'm using mobile extra. Mobile extra will help you without setting the X11 forwarding. There is by default, it is going to enable it. Most of the organizations, they may not have this mobile extra access. At that time, you need to set the display, export display equal to so and so, and then you need to enable the X host plus. Then only you can able to access the display. In our case, we can use RACS1.localdomain:0.0 to display the thing. But in my case, it is not required. Okay. Okay. Let me take these two to my laptop, this notepad. Where our step? It should have somewhere, right? I have kept everything here. Yes, here it is. Step number 10. We are going to do the step number 10. Okay. Here we need to do the pre-checks. But our home is not this one. Let me check our home. U02 app 12 to grid. This is our grid home. Grid home is this one. And what is our node 1 is RACS1. Node 2 is RACS2. That's it. Connected to grid user and then initiate this thing. From here also you can export or grid home or Oracle home equal to this one, and then you can run it. Let me connect with the grid user. root it is there, right? Not required. Let me connect with that. 192, 168, 56, 101 with the row grid user. Yes. X authority does not exist. That's okay. This is first time when you are connecting to any one of that user, it will make it. If I can take a duplicate session, I may not get that error. See, now I did not get it. Can close this, use this one. This is node 1. Change it to color duplicate or color green. Done. Now, my node 1 machine, I connected to the grid user. Here I used to connect to this location, U0 to app 12 to grid location. This is my home location of grid cluster. So from this location, we need to run the cluster verify tool, run verify tool, not that one. CD, or else you can write it here, switch to grid and go to this location, run this command. It will suggest us and I will see it. The default Vara inventory group could not be determined. Vara inventory group is not determined. That's okay, we'll see it. And it will take bit time to execute all the steps, the default Vara inventory. Why it is showing, I know that I'll check that also, but that's okay. We can make create or when you are trying to create a grid that setup, right? At that time also we can make it up. All these things we need to note it down. Okay. We will see all the passes and we will see all the failure things, everything we can note it down. NTP, we already stopped it, but NTP, crony related or any other things. Verifying user not in the group, root, grid, passed does not, that's okay, it is passed. Response from the RACS1, resolve.conf failed. RACS1 is this one, RACS1 is 102. That's okay. End of the report, it is going to show you all the error messages in one line. Okay. This is completely fine. And then see from where we have executed. From here we have executed, it is showing that the default Vara inventory group could not be determined. We have to create the Vara inventory group. Okay. And then we need to mention the path properly. Then it will not get it out. And our VMs, as I said, 8 GB is required, minimum 8 GB. Okay. What is the availability size? 7.5 GB. This one we can see it. Okay. That is not an issue. That's where when you are trying to install the rack setup, minimum 8 GB is required. Otherwise, the status is going to fail out. So verifying physical memory is failed. Okay. Verifying physical memory is failed. Let me note down the issues and then I'll provide you the fix up. Then remaining thing 7.85 required is 7.5. For the swap, if you are giving a bit of less swap size and other things, it will be failed. It required 7.5 GB. Swap is required. And other things. For root, it is going to create user where etc has been temp, all these things. So at least this is required memory. We are already having huge memory on this part. That is okay. Storage wise. Then grid users. This is also passed. ASMD. These groups it is looking for. That's where I have added ASM admin, ASM DBA goes to that grid user. That's okay. Here it is. Hard parse. RACS 2, RACS 1, minimum value. Okay, hard pass and other things. Verifying the hard limit. It is failed. Soft pass, there is no failed for that. Only hard parts value. It is looking for 65536 value, but it is having 4096 value. That we need to check. That's okay. Another issue number 2. Issues reported. This number 1 issue. And what is the fix? We will see this. Issue number 2. And what is the fix? Go ahead and quickly check it. Maximum size. Soft pass for another thing. Same. Verifying the soft limit, other things. That's okay. Number 3. Fix. Number 4. Actually, these are not on our thing. It is a thing from these guys, OS team. OS kernel version. This is fine. It required minimum 3.8 kernel version. We are having 4.14 high. That's okay. Other things, all good, all good, all passed, no issues. Everything is fine. Wherever it is going to show you that failed one, we need to look into that else. TCP connection, it is absolutely fine. Connecting with racks to racks 1, racks 2, racks 1, racks 1 to racks 2, it is fine. No issues. These are the interfaces. That is also okay. No issues of the interfaces. Gateway we did not mention. It is 0000. Default gateway unknown, and this one is 00. That is fine. These addresses also okay. No problem. These are the private IPs. No issues. Connectivity is there. Yeah. Only this one it is going to show it. Verifying mode is failed because of multicast. MDNC. Node connectivity verifying. But it went past only verifying mode connectivity PVR. Somewhere it is going to show that's okay. I don't think so. At least we can avoid it. It is not that much of issue. Remaining things it's working fine. Let me check this. Fix up. Let me check that. NTP is passed. Okay, network. This one it should not error out. Why? Because we have started that one. We enabled these things also, chronomy things. NTP is passed. It is another one. It's a kind of error, but it is okay. We can look back this as well. Fix up what we need to do. And the 6 1. It status is passed. Comments does not exist. No comments, but it passed. That's okay. IPv4 it is going to resolve.config. If you are going to start your services, we need to start name.server, that one. If you start that one, status will be available. As of now, it is going to failed out. Okay, resolve.1. But these are all, whatever the issues it is going to show it, we can avoid it. RACS to resolve that one. That is okay. IPv6 we can avoid it. It is not required. IPv4 we are going to use for connectivity of these things. Okay. This is one thing where we are going to avoid it. AVH daemon on package is there. It is not required. If you want to download, you can download and then do that, but it is not required. Let me check this error also. This daemon is required, but it is not required. But yeah, status, services status is going to. These things are passed only. This resolve.config only failed. Passed one, you can leave about it. Whichever it is failed resolve.config, right? If you start the services, it will be fixed up. No issues. That is the one. And eighth one, did we get anything? Physical arm. Here it is high level, like whatever I have noted down, right? All of the steps one by one. Physical memory, one thing, 8 GB is required, and these things. RACs to properly limit maximum open description was not found. It is required. Expected value is 65536, but we found 4096 on node 1 and node 2, both the nodes. That I'll check it. And other thing is expected value is 1024, I mean 10240, but 18192 is found. These things we can look into it. IP address 1221 is multi-factor Weber 01 and RAX1, RAX2. The connectivity, that's okay. That is not a issue. Connectivity thing. So we can check one by one. The chronomy demand is not synchronized with external source of the racks node 1. That's okay. This we can avoid it. Few errors we need to look into it, and few errors we can avoid it. Okay, all those 8 or 7 issues which is there I have noted down. Now let us start now. This is one issue and this is resolve.config one. First we can focus on our first issue, and then what is the, so total 7 issues we found it. Let me show you one by one fix up. Verifying the physical memory, that I'll add it. Here it is. The memory system, click on the machine one. We can increase after you stop the services. Okay, we'll do that. This one I can make it 8 GB. This issue is fixed. Hard pass and other things we can check. Let me check this one. Hard pass values where we need to update it. Control F, hard, Control H, and these things. Okay, hard pass values. We need to check on server. What is the values which are there in our? I think we may update it for Oracle, but not on the grid. That is the problem here. It is that I understood. Cat. See here, these values not updated in the grid level. So what I need to do is go to root user. Super. Cat security limits dot config. Here we need to add it. Vi, the same one. Vi, go down, press I button, enter. Here you can copy your security limits under Oracle user and the grid user. These are all the expected value. Now it's failed with this value. Soft one is 105, hard value is 65536 is expected. But here at 40 something it is showing. That's where it is failed. Another one where it is failed, we can check. RACs to hard value available is 4096 and we required 65536. That is one value. And soft value it is available 8192 maximum stack. Here it is not going to show it, but in database level that has been updated. So what we need to mention is soft value 8192 to 10240. 10240. Here it is soft value. Okay, stack value and nproc, nprofile. I think this is fine. What are all the values which we need to mention on both the nodes? We need to update it. Let me connect to node 2. Go to last. Press I button. Copy from here. Paste it. These are all the values where we need to give it the limits. How much memory, maximum, minimum, those things we need to give. Otherwise, this kind of error. Add the values. Both the nodes. That's it. Under which file? You need the file, right? Under this file, you need to add it. This error is fixed. Let me check later on. Okay. We need to add 8 GB physical one. I'll add it, and then we need bounce. We need to shut down. For rack 3, same thing. 2 and 3 is the same issues. Multicasting. This we can avoid it. Negotiated, or what I can say. We don't need to look into it also. Not applicable for our demo level things. That's okay. You can ignore. Not applicable or ignore. We can do ignore. NTP, let me restart one more time this NTP services. Otherwise, we can ignore this. Okay. This also ignored it. What about this resolve.config one? Why we are not getting this? Why? Because we need to start the services. Systemctl restart named. And node 1 also systemctl restart node cat etc resolve.config. We have this file is there. The same file is should be there on here. Perfect. Okay. This is also there. ns lookup cat etc host ns lookup rackscan.com. Yes, it is fine. ns lookup. It is also fine. So ns lookup is working fine. Earlier, it is not working because we did not start the services. That's where we need to do restart the named services on both the nodes. We may not get this issue generally. That's it. That is the fix for that resolve.config. And this here it is showing fail, right? This is also same related to that only. And this one you can ignore it. This RPM it is not required. Real time, I think they will do some kind of setups and they will enable the proxies and other things. But yeah, as part of the demo, we can ignore this error. Almost all is perfectly fine. We don't need to bother about these issues and other things. Quickly, I'm going to init 0. I'm going to stop my node 1 after I restarted. Okay, again, we need to check these things. Okay, again, we need to check init 0. I have stopped the services. Both are stopped. Click on node 1, storage. What is the storage? Go ahead. Another storage one. System. Increase this memory. Okay. 10 GB. Leave it. No problem. 10 GB or 9 GB. Above that, you can keep it. Here also, you can increase. That's it. 10 GB I'm adding. I mean, I have given 10 GB, 10 GB. Earlier, it is 8 GB or something below 8 GB. Now it is almost close to 10 GB. That's it. And start node 1 and node 2. Here, we don't need to change anything. All these things is okay. Okay. Start normal. Both the nodes we are going to start it. Once we start, we need to start the named services. We will check that also. Let it come up. It is going to coming up. Tracks node 2 also coming up. It is almost coming. It may take time because we already given the memory rise. It will be quicker compared to normal previous time. Node 1 is started up. Node 2 also started. Both the nodes started. Now we can connect it from here. Press R button. Here also you can press R button. It will restart your session. Done. Now immediately what we need to check. Here also you can restart it. Done. Immediately you can check this thing. NS lookup for resolve.config thing. It may not work. Why? Because after restarting the server, we need to restart the services. Restart the network services. We need to do this one. Systemctl restart named. Then only it will pick it up. Control C. Earlier, we did not done this. That's where the pre-check is going to show that error. After I restarted, immediately it is showing this resolve.config file. It is going to read it. Until unless you are not going to read it, it won't like pick it up. See now, what it is saying, no servers could be reached. That's where we are getting that error in the pre-check. Now you can check. No need to start another node. One node, if you started, that is fine. Okay. It's a grid, right? Cluster, that is fine. Now we can able to reach it. Now we are good. Go to grid home location, reinitiated the pre-checks. Okay. After we all met and we expected 3 errors that we can ignorable. Okay. One is this AVI high daemon thing or something, whatever it is, one of the daemon. Okay. This one we can expect the error. NTP thing, it should not, but why it is getting, we'll see that. NTP. If it is showing 200 and 200 and both the nodes, let me check. It is okay. NTP I have enabled it. That should not show an error. Yeah, that is fine. Whatever it is showing, it may be different related to the NTP, but it's not original NTP where it is not, it is going to error out. That is fine. We can ignore that. Okay, we can ignore that. Yeah, this error we can expect, but it should not come. Here it is going to passed, and then somewhere it is going to failed out with the some of the warning kind of error kind of one. Chronomet daemon is synchronized in the latest external time. That's different. We don't need that. Okay. Security limits. This will not get. Why? Because we have given the max values. Yep. One more thing we've missed up, right? Inventory thing. Inventory, it is unable to read it. That one we need to check, right? Inventory. Vara inventory cat etc. Vara inventory. This we can check this. Vara inventory one. Vara inventory. See here, even earlier also we used to get U02 Vara inventory. Ignore that one, but yeah, we need to create that. Vara inventory physical path we have created. Okay, physical path we have created and given the permissions. U02, did we created this app Vara inventory one? Let me check. It is there or not? Do okay. CD. Yeah, what we can do is we can give full permissions. Okay, these are all things is using root users. Okay, root level. It should not be a root, right? It should be with a grid and what are inventory related things. O install group. That's where it is going to throw out. Let me change the permissions. O install and chon -rf grid for this grid on and chmod 777 chmod -rf 772 u02. So all these things we need to do. These privileges for that error. Vara inventory is unable to read it from the grid user. Now, if I can see, what is this? Okay, that's where no. It is directly going. If you are giving the path, means under DB home, it is going to change the path. If you are giving U02 up to this, it will change completely to the all the files with the privileges. That's where it is going to error out. We need to give U01 complete mount point. Inside of this U01, all the directories, files, everything is going to change. Now it is fine. Okay, now it is fine. And this one also privilege issue. One which we noted down, memory and vara inventory, which we saw, right? Now we can initiate it now. We may not get any kind of error, warnings or errors. Where? That's okay. Final thing. Here we got some default. This one, the default vara inventory group could not determine, right? This one we will not get it now. This also we got right. Let me note it down. This one. Fix for this, that is give the permissions and add 8 GB RAM minimum. Okay, now I can execute the command one more time. We'll see it. Except one or two errors, that is expected errors or warnings. See, now we may not get that error. Inventory is passed and other things is also going to passed out. Passed. That's okay. In real time, right? From here, we are going to start our things. Multicast, that's okay. Chronomy D is running. Chrono.config. NTP error, now it is not getting. NTP is cleared. But here it is expected one is PRVG. That is fine. Let it complete. And then in last we can see it. Here IPv4 it is going to fail. That I know that why it is going to fail out in result.config. That is fine. Okay, here is the errors. Okay, where we are seeing still it is showing somewhere 7.879. It required 9.49 GB. What is this? Swap set. Oh, I told you, right? Swap is more important as part of our these things, memory wise and other things. How much swap you are going to give, that is expected, right? So we have increased our RAM to 10 GB. Okay, almost close to 10 GB, 9.5 GB or something. But we did not increase the swap. Swap is more important, right? I mean, again, the swap size also we need to mention up to the mark. How much RAM? See, and when you are going to install the swap, when at the time of installation, RAM size is 8 GB I mentioned. So swap is 8 GB. RAM size is 8 GB. This is memory. Now we have increased this one to up to 10 GB, 9.7, 9.8 something. Swap also we need to increase, right? 9.8 or 9.7. That is expected value, right? But if your memory is 16 GB, your swap should be 16 GB. If your memory is 25 gig, you can keep swap 16 to 20 gig. No need to increase all that much, how much, but up to 16 gig we can go ahead and give it. Below 16 GB of your swap size, your depends on your RAM only. How much RAM you are going to give below 16 GB, that much swap we need to give. Otherwise, it is going to check failed. That's okay, no problem. And other issues, earlier issues, we are not going to see those issues, right? Those are fine. Node 1 TCP connection failures. What is this error? Connectivity failures. This okay, no problem. This one TCP connection, other thing. System call connection refused with a different IP. This IP we don't know where exactly it is going to read it. Internally it is going to take multiple interfaces. This is one okay, no problem. If config this one 168.122.1.1, we don't know what is this virtual interface. This is a virtual interface on node 1. If config, so both the nodes virtual interface, it is going to take it the same virtual IP. It is a conflict. That's okay, but we don't using these interfaces or NIC IDs, network interfaces. Leave that part. That is not an issue. And other thing which we need to look is resolve.conf file. We have mentioned 156 1 or 2. This is no issues, guys. This is the DNS name, name.server. We did not mention this file name, and it is going to show you in that way only. If you want to avoid this, I know that where I need to modify, and this one is expected. This one is okay. This is also non-issue, but it is not stopping us to do the cluster installation. NTP, we are good. Almost all the thing is passed. This is also we can ignore the NTP issues. This TCP, it is a virtual IP. It is failing, but it's okay. We are not going to take it up this virtual IP. We are not using at all. Okay. Whatever the IPs which we are going to use it, we are already using those. That interfaces is belonging to these three interfaces, especially these two interfaces. We are going to use interface 3, this one, and interface 2 for private IP. We are using this. Apart from that, other things we are not going to use it any interfaces. And this one, let me check this. Swap size failed, right? Let me check. After we make so many things, changes and other things, this is okay, ignorable error. And any others, we don't see any others. Swap, where is my swap? Swap I have given default one, another one I have created with extra memory with dd command, and then that is went fine. Later we can see it remaining things. Here is swap. Here is the swap size. Swap I have given two nodes differently, and it is passed now. Swap has been fixed that issue. But one thing, guys, whatever in OS level issues and network level issues, we can ignore it. Those are not comes into in our queue. Okay, that is NTP one thing. And what else? IPv6. It is failed. That's okay. Leave it that day. No problem. This one is okay. We can leave this part. That I know where I need to modify, but as of now, you can resolve.config file. We need to modify that. And what else? This daemon. This is also one more we can ignorable warnings or errors. Yeah, these are very minimal things which we got it. RACS1, RACS2, multiple interfaces, and this one you can ignore it. We don't want to go with this is a kind of network issue. Okay, even we are not going to use that virtual IPs and other things. NTP you can ignore it. Resolve.config one. This one I need to make a change in name.config file and reverse forward zone, reverse zone. There we need to rename. Instead of 101, I need to replace with 102. That's where it is going to throw some error. What else? Yeah, that's it. Nothing much. We are good. These are all the warnings or errors which are there that we can ignorable kind of one. Okay. Cat etc. If you want, we can. That is not required. We can go ahead and then install our grid installation. Grid installation we can start now. From the grid user, start grid installation using this location. Run installer grid.setup file will be there that we need to execute it. This one. This will open you the GUI prompt. This one. From this GUI prompt, we are going ahead and then install it, configuring the new cluster. We are not going to upgrade. We are not going to do any standalone one node rack and other things. We are not going to do only software installation. We are going to configure new cluster. Standalone cluster, you can do it. Standalone means it's a rack only. It's a kind of type, one of the type, and configure other Oracle domain services or members or member of cluster. These are all the different services. We have if you select that, we have the definition of this. Only 3 sites we can configure. Maximum 5 node rack we can set up it. If you select this, for this also you have a limit, maximum 5 limit, and 3 sites you can do the cluster. But it is also showing definition will be there. Different definitions will be there. We can Google it and then we will get it. But most probably, as part of our this thing cluster installation, go with a standalone cluster side kind of type. Okay, for OLTP, our online transaction, OLAP and other type of databases will be there. At that time, you can choose related to the cluster configuration services. This is the one where we are going to choose it. And here we need to give our cluster name, RACS cluster. By default, leave it. And the scan name. What is our scan name? We need to give that scan name. From etc host, we will get the scan name, right? At etc host. Take this. This is our scan name, right? Give this one. Even in the cluster also, you can give the same thing. You can give RACS. Obviously, that will pick it up RAC scan. Okay. No need to, like, even if you want to mention, you can mention. Our cluster name is RACS and the scan name is this. And port is 1521. GNS is different. Okay. If you don't want to manually as of now, we are configuring all public, private, virtual scan IPs manually. So we are going with, if you don't want to configure all these IPs manually, by using this option, we can create one set of IPs we need to give for this grid naming service. This will take care of internally all the public, private, virtual IPs and other things. Okay, this will take it. This is a dynamically allocating your networks. This is static. How we are want to mention, we want to mention all our public, private, virtual IPs. So this one we are not going to do it. Here it is going to take RACS1 node virtual IP. Now we need to add RACS2 node virtual IPs. What is the public host name for our RACS2? This one. Add that. And what is the virtual IP of RACS node 2? This one. So these two you can add it. If you have more nodes, you can add more nodes one by one here in this way. RACS1 is by default from where you have what I can say installed. That is going to pick it up. And RACS2 local domain. Why it is going to take that only? Let me edit it. Why it is not taking my private IP? I given private IP. Oh. If it is not copy paste, we need to enter manually. Very cautious. That is a public one is correct. Private one is not going to take it. No problem. RACS2 VIP dot local domain. RACS2 VIP dot local domain. So this is our default one where you are going to install your grid setup. We need to add another node. If you have another node is there, like 3 node or 4 node, 5 node rack, you can add all the nodes here. RACS2 VIP local domain. Local domain. RACS2 PRIV private IP local domain. Virtual IP, we are not going to do that. That's where it is not taking. Yeah, this one we need to give. VIP. Virtual IP and our public IP. It's having some internal linking. Okay, rack internals, we will discuss these things. What is the difference between virtual IP and public IP? And click next. Now it is going to ask for the network related information. This is a cluster node. How many nodes? Like if we are going with the 2 node rack, if you are going for 3 node rack, that is all 3 nodes together works as a single machine. That's a clusterware definitions. Verifying the setup. Here it is going to check the passwordless connectivity in between these 2 nodes. Okay, and then it is validating the public and private IPs. Yeah, perfectly done. So we have the IPs which is there 168.56 and 168.1.0 public and private IPs. It is going to take it, and this is our internet one. Don't use for that. Public and private IPs that we need to look into it. Let me check. So this is our public interface. ENP0S3 is the public interface range, 56 range. One range is our private IP. So public ASM and private, we are using these things. So the same thing you can keep and then click on next. Using block devices or configure ASM on NFS. We are going to use the block devices or NFS. By default values, we are going to make it. Let me check there. Use Oracle Flex ASM for storage. See here, this option is not there. In 19C, we used to get this, whether you want to go for Flex or not. Grid management, ignore, use the Flex. Go with this default option. But in 19C, we used to get ASM Flex. That is only one thing. Okay, do you want to create a separate automatic storage management? Disk group for grid infrastructure management repository? I don't think so. We are not going to give yes. That you can give grid management repository. No, it is not required. And now we required one disk group to store your cluster one, right? Where you want to store your cluster thing. If you want to go for normal redundancy, you need to choose two disks. So as of now, we can go with external redundancy. And from if GUI, if you are going to create a disk groups, allocation unit size is 4 MB by default. That as part of ASM, we have discussed more on it. Now we can go ahead with create OCR disk group. Now that is fine, or else data disk group. If you want to create, you can create with any name. Any name you can give it. But here what we need to do is, we are unable to find the disk path, right? We need to change the path. Okay. Change the discovery path where our ASM disks are stored. Oracle ASM disks. In this location we have. It is not Oracle ASM star. Select option configuration. Every simple configuration management device type. ASM. Let me check our disk groups. LSF, NTR, dev, Oracle ASM. These are all our disks. These needs to be display in this location. Otherwise, those will not come. Dev Oracle ASM. Disks. Yep. It should be display here. Okay. Otherwise, we cannot able to create the disks, right? That's where. For OCR, we can use this, and data, if you want, you can use it. This OCR first, we can create it. Data and archives, we can create it later on also. Now OCR will store our OCR and voting disk files here. External redundancy, one disk group is fine. So here I can mention OCR. This is my OCR disk group. Now I'm going to create it with external redundancy. Flex is also there, no? In 19C we have that option, but that is different scenario. So we'll check this. We are going to create this disk group and this and all our ASM related files and now cluster related files will store into your OCR disks. Next, click on next. Insufficient space available in the selected disks. Insufficient. Why it is not going to store that much? Insufficient storage. Or else we can use data. Why it is? It should. We have 10 GB. We have make it properly. Leave this one. Use the data disk group. Space available in the selected disks. Details. Here it is saying it required at least 38 gig to do all these things. In 19C, I don't think so. 19C it is not required this much of size. That's where it is going to throw an error. Let me check this. Okay, in 12C it is required at least minimum 38 gig it is showing. That's where I want to create 3 disk groups, but here I want to go with single disk group with the name of data that will store everything, OCR, voting files, everything it is going to store it. Now I have assigned to data disk group with external redundancy 40 gig I am giving. Let me check now. Yeah, it is going to take it. Now I'm going to provide the passwords for sys and ASM, SNMP. Common password for all the admin users. It is not matching. Now it is matched. Common password. No need to keep different passwords. It's very difficult to remember or other things. Don't use anything default value. We are not going to register any cloud control things. Here ASM related management. I want to use this admin groups, but I want to change it to O install. Where is my O install? Here it is. I'll use all of the groups with O install only. If you want, you can keep default. That's where as part of the cluster install pre-checks, if you don't have these groups, it will fail out. These groups are mandatory as part of that installation. But if you want to use or not, you are not going to use, up to you. So I'm going to use all these activities. O install is my group. That is, it is showing that, hey, you are going to change the group, whatever it is expected. You are not going to give that, no problem. This is my location where Oracle base or else the grid base. Specify Oracle grid infrastructure cluster base. By default, Oracle grid infrastructure is installed in this path. U01 app. I don't want to use this. I am going to use software location is U02 app 12 to grid location. Base, if you want to use, you can use the same thing. But path is this one. Base default, you can keep it. But we don't have a folder here. U01 app grid location. Do we have that path or folder? I don't have. U01 I am going to use for, okay, I'm using for database installation. Grid is going to, this is my Oracle base where I want to use it. Generally, I'm planning to use my Oracle base, but it is going to take U01 for Oracle base. So if you want to use that, you can use it. Otherwise, you can keep U02 location as a base, or else I can create it here. I don't want to use that. I want to use U02, my base location, U02 app. Here I can use mkdir grid chon -rf grid user or install group to my grid chmod -rf rebels are into this one. I can use this one grid as my base location. Okay, or else we can rename it to grid underscore base also. That is fine. I can use this. I don't want to use this U01. I want to use U02 app grid is my base. That is up to us where we want to maintain our base location. In this base location, all the log files and other grid related cluster related log files will store. Okay, that's where it is required. Otherwise, it is not going to. It is very important one. Under this, our software we have unzipped. Okay, grid software. The path should be there, and we need to give the proper privileges. Then only it is going to take it up. Insufficient permission granted to the directory U0 following nodes RACS2. The node will be ignored and okay. What is happening? This directory we have created on node 2, node 1, but it is not available on node 2. Here we did not create it. Then there is an issue, right? And also the permissions it is changed. On node 2 we did not change the permissions. Okay, quickly let me create mkdir grid base. I have created. Now let me give chon grid user. I want to give 02. All the files and other things. Recursively change this. And Oracle is for my U01. chmod -rf 777 to my U02. U01. Now what I need to do is I can give no. I'll go back and then I'll push it forward. This is fine. U0 to app grid 2 is my base. That is fine. Now I'll proceed further. So make sure you should have to provide the proper details and proper permissions, then only it is going to install it. Now it is going to create your Vora inventory. Now our location is this one. Whether this path is there or not, we need to check. It is there. Okay. Now we can able to on both the nodes. It should be inventory should be there. See here. Okay. I given differently, right? U02. What is this? Control C. LSF and LTR U02 app Vara inventory. This path is there on both the nodes. This is our inventory where all the changes or patches, if you applied, all those things noted down in this location. Click on next. Automatically run it. This will give you the root.sh scripts, right? Cluster or grid root.sh script. If you want to run manually, you can leave it. If the system itself it is going to run it, you can select it here, provide the root password. Let it provide, we will do it manually. Pre-checks. We will get 3 or 4 warnings or errors, which we saw in our prerequisite check step, right? That only again it is doing cluster verification. Again it is running. Those it will gives it. We'll see it. Same NTP, chronomedia, daemon, and resolve.config file error or warning. Those we will get it now. Before we are in executed grid.setup script. Cluster verify tool. Again it will do now. From here also we can see it and then fix those issues and then it will proceed further. 3 or 4 warnings or errors, I can expect it from here. That is expected one only, no problems. Errors, that's okay. Warnings and these 3 are the failures, that's okay. We are not going to take it anymore. Okay. Once, if you want to do these fix-ups and all, we have that option also. Try to click on this one. Okay. Fix and check again. It will give you the script. This is a fix-up script. Run it on node 1 or node 2. Node 1 or node 2 using root user. Let me try to do that. Okay. It may help us to do fix-ups automatically. Run on node 2 also under root user. I done that. Still, we may get that errors, but okay. It is again going to run it pre-checks. Let it do. Still, if you are getting the same thing, you can ignore it. Try to do that, like if it is going to fix up anything. Yeah, at least one of the errors has been fixed, right? Some warning it should be there that is going to fix it. So fix and checks, it will give you, even though if you are missing the inventory thing, even though you are going to increase something, it will give you the fix up script. Okay, let me check this fix up script, what exactly it is having. It is going to check the CVV error tags and other things. Run fixup.sh script will be there. That is going to do all the shell scripts. It is trying to do some of the fixups and other things. Leave it as of now, it is not required. And these 3 are the failures. We can easily, this we know, right? We know everything. Then we can just ignore. Okay, ignore and then we can proceed next. Ignore, click on that ignore button and proceed next. Yes, I know that. And this is our summary where all these things are going to install. How many nodes cluster? This is the cluster name. How many nodes in a cluster? And what is the scan port? This is 1521. What is our scan name? These are the public interface, private interface, and local repository. It is going to install. Okay, it is going to run. What it is going to do it is going to configure the local nodes, and then it is going to configure the remote nodes. While it is going to coming to this node, what will happen? I'll show you that in node 2. U02 app 12 to grid. This is our home, grid home. As of now, this is a remote node for node 1. Node 1 is local, from where we have initiated the grid.setup, and the grid.setup will come after you will unzip the software. But on node 2, we did not unzip the software. But the software should copied from node 1 to node 2. We'll see that. As of now, it is going to configuring your node 1. Once the node 1 is done, it is copy the files from node 1 to remote nodes. If you are using node 3 node, 4 node, 5 node clusters, only one node you are going to unzip the software. And then it is going to copy internally. That's where we need to enable the passwordless connectivity. Okay. And then configuring the nodes, node 2. Once that is done, it is going to set up the Oracle base and execute root.scripts. These root.scripts we need to execute node 1 and node 2. Both the nodes we need to done. Once these scripts is executed, our cluster is configured properly. Okay, that is where it is going to happen in 3 steps. So node 1 is completed. Now node 2, that is doing copying the files. Yeah, see here. Just before, few seconds before, we don't have any files. Now it is copying the files. See, on node 2. We are not going to do it anything, right? That is going to do it internally itself. ls, if you want to see, the files is coming to node 2. Configuring the remote node. Once the copy is done, it is going to configure. Next step. Present, it is going to copying. Copy portion is going on. Okay, we did not copied any, we did not do anything manually on node 2. Node 2, everything is done by internally the grid.setup itself. Node 1 cluster setup. Copy portion is completed. Now configuration is going on. Prepare is done. Now it is going to set up. Node 2 setup is going on. There is a difference, guys. In 12C and 19C cluster installation, there is a difference. So much of like ASM flex option, some of the options is not available here, even though we are having defaultly flex has been introduced, but that is one thing, and a few more things is there. The disk groups one, it is required at least 40 gig and other things. Yeah, almost done. So these scripts we need to run orderly. This script first we need to run on node 1, then node 2. Once this is done, then this script we need to run on node 1 and then node 2. First we can start with this from node 1 under root user. This has been created the Vara inventory, updated the privileges. Then next, here node 2 I want to run that script. Done. Here also it is going to update your Vara inventory. Group names and other permissions it is going to change. Now next script. This will take time, at least 15, 16 around that, those many minutes it is going. It is going to configure your cluster things, everything. Root.sh it is going to create, and by default in this location, all the libraries it is going to look into this path. That's okay. Now it is going to update your Vara tab entries. Root.sh is going to update your Vara tab entries. And first script, Vara inst root.sh, what it is going to do, it is going to update your Vara inventory path into Vara inst location and updating the group. Vara O install is our group that is going to update, but root.sh is going to do it. Your TFA, all those things like complete cluster is going to configure. Now the cluster services is going to start up and other things will do it. Almost it's 19 steps will be there. All those step 1 to 19, all these 19 steps will complete on node 1. Once this is done, we need to run the same root.sh script on node 2. That will start your all the cluster services on node 2, and then it will start your ASM services, everything. So it will take time up to 16 or 15 steps. It is quicker. From 15 or 16 onward, it is going to take time. So roughly 10 to 15 minutes in between. But on node 2, it is very quick compared to node 1. Let it run. Let me pause it here and then I'll get back after 5 to 10 minutes. We don't need to do anything here. We just monitor it. So all 19 steps executed. How much time it took? 9:50 and 2 minutes before around. And when it started? 9:41. 9 to 10 minutes, right? The same step we need to execute it on node 2. The same root.sh script we need to run on node 2 also. By this time, our ASM services and other things, it should come on this node. ASM1 came up. All our daemons running on this node. These are all our scan listeners, everything on node 1 is done. Node 2. Now, if you are ps-ef pipe grab d.bin, no services running, right? Nothing. Now we need to run this root.sh, not this one. Root.sh script. Which one it is? Here it is. This script we need to run it on node 2 also. First we run on node 1, then node 2. After we executed this, it will configure your ASM instance 2 and it will start the cluster services on node 2 also. Once that is done, it may not take more than that. Whatever it is taking around 10 minutes, right? It will not take that much time. It will take very quick, like 5 to 6 minutes or less than that also. Relinking all the cluster related objects and other things, and then it is going to start step 1 of 19. So all 19 steps it should execute.